Hey everyone! For this Pride video today, I want to show you guys how to make a very fun and simple bracelet. This is a sort of chevron pattern with a little bit of extra flair in there so that it kind of breaks up the monotony of the regular chevron. But as you can see, I am going to make this pattern in the Asexual Pride colors today. You could do a sort of like agender color scheme or even like an aromantic one and just have green instead of purple. Or if you just like the pattern, then you can use any colors you want. So if you want to learn how to make this really fun pattern, then keep on watching. So for this bracelet, you are going to need your sort of bordering color, which I am just going to use black. And then we have our white strand, our purple, and then our gray. So you'll want to measure all of these about 40 inches or a meter, just to be on the safe side. Of course, you'll have a little bit less white movement in your pattern, but if you want to measure it all the same, just to make it easier, then by all means do that. But you will need 2 strands of your gray, 2 strands of your purple, and 2 strands of your white, and then you will need 6 strands for your bordering color. This pattern works great for a teardrop loop if that's what you want to go for. You can have ties on both ends and just do like a shape start in the teardrop shape, like just cut off this loop part here and start your shaped edges and stuff. Or you can just start up the pattern naturally. These starts are really just kind of optional. It's just really whatever you prefer to do. So from the outside to the center here, you want to order your strings black, gray, black, white, black, purple. And since this is mostly chevron work, this is pretty simple. And then our sort of white section here is not much more complicated. In typical chevron fashion, we want to take our outermost left and right strands and bring them to the middle. So on the left side here, take your outermost left strand and do forward knots onto the next 5 strings to the right of it to bring it to the middle. And doing this chevron work, you don't want to knot too tight in the beginning. You sort of want to make your knots a little bit more loose and kind of start the knot in that sort of downward slope to create the sort of V section. It'll just make it way easier to shape up that shape. And same for your outermost right strand. You want to take that and do backward knots across the next 5 strings to the left of it to bring it to the middle. Then you'll want to connect your 2 middle strands with a forward knot. Or really you can do a backward knot too, since they're the same color, it doesn't matter which knot you make. And next we are going to take, yet again, our outermost left and right strands and bring them to the middle. So on the left side here, we're going to do forward knots on the next 5 strands to the right of it to bring it to the middle. And then take your outermost right strand and do backward knots onto the next 5 strings to the left of it to bring it to the middle. And then connect your middle 2 strands with a forward knot. And again, we are going to repeat the same steps as before. We are going to take our outermost left and right strands and bring them to the center. So on the left side, you're going to make your 5 forward knots. On the right side, we will do our 5 backward knots. And yet again, take your 2 middle strands and connect them with a forward knot. And now finally we can break up the monotony of the chevron pattern just a little bit. So looking at the left side for now, we are going to take our second strand from the left, which will be our black strand here, and we are going to do a backward knot onto the white strand to the left of it. And then we're going to take this white strand and do a forward knot onto the purple strand to the right of it. And then again, next strand in line will be another black strand, so you want to do a backward knot onto the white strand. And then we're going to finish off the row by taking our white strand yet again, and this time we're going to do 2 forward knots onto the next 2 strings in line. And then we're going to move over to the right side and repeat everything we just did, except we're going to mirror it. Take your second strand from the right, which will be your black strand here, and make a forward knot onto the white strand to the right of it. And then you're going to take this white strand and do a backward knot onto the purple strand to the left of it. Now we're going to pick up our next black strand in line, and we're going to do a forward knot onto the white strand to the right of it. And then we're finishing off the row by making backward knots across the next 2 strands to the left of our white strand. And then we're going to finish off our row by connecting our middle 2 strands with a forward knot. And to finish off the pattern, we are going to do just a couple of more chevron rows. So, outermost left strand is a black strand. So we're going to do forward knots across the next 5 strands to the right of it. And then on the right side, take your outermost right strand and do backward knots across the next 5 strands to the left of it. And then you want to connect your middle 2 strands with a forward knot. And then one last time for the set, we are going to do a chevron with our purple strands. So on the left side, outermost left strand, and do 5 forward knots onto the next 5 strings to the right of it. And then move over to the right side and do 5 backward knots onto the next 5 strings to the left of it. And then finally, connect your middle 2 strands with a forward knot. And that is the whole pattern complete. And if you can see our string order, it is back to the way it was when we first started the pattern. So that means if you need to follow the video over again, or as many times as you need to be able to remember the pattern and work it up on your own, or at least without following the video, then you can go back to the timestamp in the description box or in the sort of chapter section, and it'll take you right back to where we started, and you can follow all of those steps exactly the same as many times as you need to until you have your full length bracelet. Or in my case, almost a full length and ran out of string somehow. Had to tie them off right here and still didn't cut enough string to be able to make just a few more rows to get a full bracelet. But I digress. Thank you all so much for clicking on this video and watching. I hope that this was super informative and fun for you to follow. Be sure to check out all of my other Pride videos that I have this year, and I'll see you in the next one.